So anxiety is something that we all deal with at some point in our life, right? It's your body's natural response to something that is fearful. So, like you have a big test coming up, you had a fight with your spouse or significant other. These all can lead to anxiety, and usually, when that situation passes, then the anxiety will go away, as it should. But sometimes anxiety can be chronic and you come into this spiral of dealing with it on a daily basis. And that's when we really need to get to the bottom of what's causing the anxiety. It's very common to just go in and get on some pharmaceuticals and not have to think about what's causing it. But if you don't get to the bottom of what's causing it, then you're going to have to be on those things forever. And a lot of those are really difficult to come off of and can have a rebounding effect. So if you can get to the bottom of what's going on and avoid taking those in the first place, it's going to be the safest bet. So the number one cause actually of anxiety is neurotransmitter imbalances. And this is something that we can figure out by your genetics and an organic acids test. When we put those tests together, it'll give us a look into what is going on with your neurotransmitters and how best to balance those. Because if you have too much dopamine, not enough serotonin, you're not converting GABA, converting glutamine to GABA, then you can experience anxiety. And so those are just easy fixes that we can do based on what your results are to get that anxiety under control. Number two is toxin overload. So we live in a culture, a society, an area where we're just constantly bombarded with toxins. And if our bodies can't break that down safely and get it out, then it can affect your brain. And so we do a lot of work on detox pathways. You will hear me talk about detox pathways all the time because so many things are because of our inability to get toxins safely out of our bodies. And so to do that, we look at your genetics, and we also look at a comprehensive blood panel that can tell us a lot that is happening with your detox pathways. The third most common, and I'm sure you're familiar with this one, is hormone imbalance. I think we all know that when our hormones are off, then that can cause anxiety. And we can take a look at what's going on there with the Dutch test. I like to use the Dutch hormone test because it not only tells us what your hormones are doing, but it will tell us how you're metabolizing them. And it will also give us a look into the next most common reason for anxiety, which is adrenals. If your adrenals are not functioning well, if your cortisol is so high, then you can have anxiety as well. The next most common thing is actually taking the wrong supplements for your body, which I know it sounds crazy because we hear about all these supplements and how good they are, and we should all be taking them. But if you're not familiar with how your body is, which is looking at your genetics, that will tell us what kind of supplements that you should be on. For example, if you're taking a methylated B12 vitamin and you are sensitive to methyl donors from your genetics, that's going to give you anxiety. And that can be a hard thing to pinpoint because people can just be thinking their anxiety is from whatever things, and they can't really, you don't necessarily correlate it to that vitamin that you took until you take the right form. And then you're like, oh my gosh, my anxiety's gone. It's crazy, but it's true. It's very important to do the testing to see what you should be taking for your body. And the last one is probably the most under talked about. And I think it's getting better. People are talking about it more now, but your mindset is crucial to not having anxiety. Because if you are in toxic thoughts, toxic loops of thoughts that lead to fear, that's going to give you a lot of anxiety, and your body will not heal when you're in fight or flight. And so if you're constantly thinking these thoughts, fear-based thoughts, such as like having the media on all the time, and it's the end of the world, this person was elected president, and now they're going to kill, we're going to lose our freedom, we're going to lose everything. Both sides of the political debate are fear-based. Just shut it off because there's nothing that you can do about it anyway. And you need to really reprogram your thoughts and do a lot of work here. The hurricanes, the tornado, like all of the things that we never knew about before we had social media or TV. Like people lived a lot less stressful lives because we're taking on the burden of everything. Like even the plane crashes lately, right? We would have never known about those things happening. And now people are afraid to fly this year because this, that, or the other. But when you actually look it up, you'll find that there were just as many plane crashes last year. It's just that the media is hyper focused on it now. And now I'm going off on a media trail, rabbit trail, which I did not mean to do. So, mindset, also relationships. If you're in toxic relationships, you might need to get out of those because it's going to keep you in that state of anxiety, as well as, are you in a job you hate, right? These are all things to consider and think about. But if you're struggling with anxiety, like on a daily basis, I really recommend getting the labs and seeing where your body needs support and get that under control so that you don't have to live that way. If you have a practitioner, recommend getting these labs so that they can get those ordered and read them for you so that you know what's going on. Or if you're looking for someone to work with, just go to my website at www.breakthroughintegrativehealing.com. There is a work with me button on there you can click on, and you can book a 30-minute free assessment call where we can just visit and go over and see if this is a good fit for you. Or if you even just have questions, there is a section on there that you can just email me and ask me some questions. So hopefully this was helpful to you guys.